Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 220 of the Ask the Coach show, where PingSkills helps you improve your table tennis. For Technique Tuesday, we'll be talking about a video that we called I Can't Return That Smash. In the questions, we'll talk about sponge thickness, twiddling the bat for serving, hiding the ball when serving, and maintaining the correct position when playing table tennis. I'm Jeff Plum, and as always, Super Coach Alois Rosario is here with me to answer your questions. Welcome, Alois.
Good morning, Jeff. And how are you this morning?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. My hamstring's getting better slowly, which is good news.
That is good news. We need you running around shortly.
Yes, we do. And what I want to know, Alois, is what happened on the 9th of February in history. I'm really getting into this segment now.
See, I knew you would. I knew you'd love it. So there's a couple of things. So in 1895, volleyball was invented. Now, volleyball, it was invented in Massachusetts, but it does lay claim to being the biggest sport in the world. You know, we all know that it isn't. We all know that table tennis is the best and biggest sport in the world, but volleyball does lay claim to it, you know, on different grounds. You know, some dodgy grounds they go for.
Aren't they the same grounds that we use, like number of registered associations or something?
Let's not get into technicalities, Jeff. Everyone knows that table tennis is bigger and better. But also in 1992, the world yodeling record was done with let me get this, 22 tones and 15 falsettos in 1 second. How about that?
Wow, that's good. Excellent demonstration.
Thank you.
Nice work. All right, yodeling. If anyone can yodel, let us know. I don't know anybody, well, except for Alois, as he just demonstrated, that can yodel. If you can yodel, let us know. Love to hear from you.
We did go to the Cuckoo restaurant a couple of years ago, Jeff, and there was a good demonstration of some yodeling there. German restaurant here in Melbourne.
Yep, some yodeling and some thigh slapping, dancing. Good restaurant, the Cuckoo. If you're in Melbourne, give it a try. All right, let's move on to Technique Tuesday, Alois. Now, we've got a video called I Can't Return That Smash. What's this got to do with technique?
Yes, so we often get this question about, you know, what do you do when someone smashes at you? And, you know, the technique here is that's too late. So what you need to be doing with your technique is making sure that you're keeping that ball lower and into different positions that is more difficult for your opponent. So how do we keep the ball lower? So with your pushing, for example, I often see people pushing, so they might get the angle of their stroke right, but then they push up on the ball, and that's going to get the ball higher. So when you push, you need to make sure that you're brushing underneath the ball to get the ball lower. With your forehands, you need to similarly turn your racket over a little bit so that you're brushing over the top of the ball to keep the ball lower. So keeping that ball low is the real key to how you return smashes. You don't want people smashing. Once people are smashing, they're in the box seat. So you need to go back one step. Think about your technique of how you're going to keep that ball lower over the net. And that's the first thing. And the second thing is make sure you're placing the ball well on the table so that it's more difficult for your opponent to make that stronger shot. So if I put the ball a little bit higher to your backhand, perhaps, maybe you can't play the ball as strongly as if I put the ball a little bit higher to your forehand. So think about the technique of what you're doing with your strokes to make sure you're keeping that ball lower over the net.
Yes, excellent. I love that advice. And you can use it in so many ways, Alice. I guess on your serve, you can serve the ball low and short, so it would bounce twice, so your opponent can't take a big swing. And if you do all this, then you're likely to be the one doing the smashing, And, that's obviously much better for your prospects of winning the point.
Absolutely. That's right.
All right, everyone. Well, there you go. That's Technique Tuesday. Get out there and try and stop your opponent from making the attack and try and make the attack yourself. That is good advice. All right. Now, Alois, yesterday we asked the PingSkills question of the day, which was, how should you approach training sessions to get the most benefit? What were the responses?
Yep. So good response again. So Thad said, simple, be positive. I like that. If you go into that training session with a positive attitude, then it's always going to be good. Howard said, with happy anticipation as I know I'm getting better. Like it. Eugene, focus, enjoy, and never give up. Good advice. Dominic said, understand why you were there in the first place. There is a time to rest and make small talk afterwards. Work hard for the hours you were there and the results will show. Good. Dana said, I like to work on something different each session, which keeps my mind focused. So that's important. Like you've got to maintain that interest during the training session. So it keeps his mind focused on the task at hand so he can improve in every aspect of his game. Too much of the same thing over and over again gets boring. Variety, I like it. Ilya, with a hope that this time you will have a partner to play drills, not just only matches. And we do get that a bit, don't we? We find that that PingSkillers, are going to clubs and going to training, and they have this training plan and idea of how to train now, but trying to find someone else to match that and to train with you is important. So, it's a matter of going out and searching and trying to find that right person or those right people that you can surround yourself with when you're doing your training. So,
yeah, that's interesting, Alois, because I feel like training can be a lot of fun, but people think it's kind of hard work or boring and they'd rather just play matches. But I think, if they knew the proper way to train, they might actually enjoy it, and then they'll get the added benefit of improving, which means they'll start enjoying table tennis even more.
Yeah, that's right. And that improvement, and it's hard to get that message across to everyone. Improvement comes by proper training. So just going out and playing games in matches really doesn't cut it as far as your improvement and your development. You do need to do your drills. You do need to practice your skills. Otherwise, that improvement is much, much slower. So, so let's get that message across and try to find more players that are training rather than just going down to the club and playing games.
Yes. So, for our premium members, we have the 52-week training plan where each week we give you a new training session. And one of the big things in this, Alois, is having a focus for each session. So, and in the answers to that PingSkills question of the day, a lot of people touched on this, but you're really big on having a focus for your session.
Yeah, that's right. So every time you go to training, think about, what am I doing here? What am I trying to improve? If you've got that clearly in your head, then that training session can be beneficial. So, for example, today I might be focusing on my third ball with my forehand. So when you're warming up, you're thinking about your forehand, thinking about your technique for your topspin. When you start doing your footwork drills, you might be thinking about the same thing, thinking about trying to do that forehand topspin. And then in your match drills, you can focus a lot. You can do one or two different match drills on serve and third ball with the forehand. So then by the end of the session, you've done that skill and drill a lot, and you feel like you've improved something. If you just go there and train, then drills can be boring because you can be doing the same drill for 3 days in a row, and you've got no purpose to it. Whereas if you're doing that drill with a purpose of improving your forehand, third ball, or whatever it is, then you start to feel that improvement happening, and you get that sense of achievement as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll put a link in the show notes to a PDF which lays out a training session for you, or the structure of a training session. And one of the first questions there is, what is the focus of the session? So I'll put a link up, people. You can start using that. And like I said, we've got the 52-week training plan for premium members, and each week we've got one of these filled out for everyone. So if you're interested in that, take a look at our premium membership at pingskills.com.
Yeah, and the other thing that we do have in our free download section, and you can find the free download section if you go right to the bottom of our web pages. So on the free download section, there's also training drills. So there's a free download there of a whole lot of training drills that you can utilize during your training session as well.
Yes, good point. All right, now, Alois, let's move on to today's PingSkills question, which is, how do you block out distractions when you are playing table tennis? So as always, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/PingSkills or to our blog at pingskills.com and let us know, how do you block out distractions when you are playing table tennis? All right, now, Alois, are you ready for the questions?
Certainly am.
All right. All right, here we go. Here's a tricky one from Mike D, who's asked it using the Google Q&A app. He says, back in the day, the mid-'80s to early '90s, I played with rubber which had 2.5 thickness. Nowadays, the sponges go up to 2.2 or max. If thicker sponges means more speed and spin, then why did the sponges get thinner?
Yeah, so it's probably got something to do. So the rule is now that the combination of your the sponge, you see that well? So the sponge, the yellow part, and the red part have to be less than 4 millimeters together. So if you start to go too thick with the sponge, then that's going to get over that 4 millimeter limit, and you won't be able to use the rubber. So that's the way that it's measured. So they get an actual measure, and they see what the thickness of that total sponge is. And in international tournaments, they will do racket testing where they will actually measure the thickness of that sponge. So if your sponge is 2.5 mil, then you're probably going to be over the limit with the total of the 4 mil. So that's
yeah.
why.
Now, I don't really know the history of this rule, Alois, but it sounds to me like it's been introduced to try and slow the game down a bit, like the bigger balls or something. Because as Mike said, why not allow just really thick sponges?
Yeah, and that will be it. And the other thing that they were, I'm not sure how or where it all fits in, but so with gluing, if you glue with speed glue, that expands the sponge. So then that does become greater than 4 millimeters as well. So so if you're gluing, that will be picked up by the thickness of your sponge as well.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, interesting question, Mike. Yeah, I just presume it's probably one of those measures to try and slow the game down to make it better for spectators. That's just a guess. All right. Now, Victor has a very interesting question. Now, Lois, I'm not sure if this is in your field of expertise, but he says, do you know how I can grow taller? I'm 177 centimeters. My mum's 166, and my brother's 179. My dad's 182. Can I increase my height by 5 centimeters? I turned 16 in March, and I want to be taller.
Yeah, the rack. Yeah. So what you need to do is tell you, no, don't. Victor, you just got to accept what height you are, so you talk about GH there, growth hormone, no need, there's no need to get into all those sorts of supplements. Just accept how tall you are. And, you're almost 16 and people have different growth times. It's probably your time to grow naturally. Don't get into all that stuff. Growth hormones, no.
Good advice. Good advice. All right. Next up is a question from Mark, who says, and I think this is going to be more along your lines of expertise, Alois. He says, I've decided to try short pips on the forehand. However, effective service requires my inverted backhand side, and my most practiced serves, the tomahawk backspin, are forehand. So is it better to learn and practice backhand serves or add a twiddle to my serves?
Yeah. So I would say add a twiddle. So this is long pimples, but same principle. So if you've got short pimples on your forehand and normal on the other side, so to serve, you're going to find it difficult to generate a lot of spin with that short pimple. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with the inverted rubber on your forehand side, do your serve, and in the follow through, you just flip your bat over. The more you practice that flipping, the faster it's going to get. So you just be able to flip it really quickly, and it'll all become natural. So I mean, you serve, bang, you're ready to play your next shot with your normal, with your pimples. Sorry, other way around. Serve, bang, and play the forehand with your pimples. So,
and it seems like a bit of a difficult skill, but people tend to pick it up really quickly, Alois. And it's something you can just practice, even, just sitting on the couch. You can just practice a serve, practice a serve motion and a twiddle, practice a serve motion and a twiddle. And if you do that, you'll start to get the hang of it really quickly.
Yeah, that's a good way of practicing. Remember John Hilton, an Englishman who was an Australian, who won the European Championships. That's how he used to practice his twiddling, just sitting on the couch and practicing the twiddling of the bat. So yeah, easy to do, and you'll be surprised how quickly you pick it up and how quick you can get with the twiddle as well.
There you go. All right, Mark, learn how to twiddle. Keep working on it. Now, Tom Raj MC has just jumped on and said, "What is the best ping skill?" Maybe he means who is the best ping skiller, and clearly it is me.
Incorrect. So incorrect answer. So
yeah, or maybe it means what's the best ping skills video?
Maybe, or what's the best or the most important skill? Maybe we've got a video on that one. What's the most important skill? So yeah, for me, being able to put the ball on the table, but also I reckon, just being able to do a good forehand topspin. If you can do that, then that's a really good skill, and you can improve your game pretty quickly. There you go.
Yeah, good point. Now, just on that, Alois, I always wonder about this because a bit of a tangent here, but a lot of people find the forehand easier than the backhand when learning to topspin. But there's some players out there that just are much better at the backhand. So is the backhand topspin harder to learn, or is it just that people tend to focus more on the forehand and spend more time practicing the forehand?
Yeah, I really think it is. I think it's just that people tend to play the forehand more. I mean, the only thing is that with the forehand, you do have a little bit more flexibility in where you can hit that ball because of the extension of the arm. The backhand, it tends to be easier when the ball's in front of you here. So here, it gets difficult out here and out there. But, there are players now that have stronger backhands than forehands. So it is possible. Yeah, just see where you fit in, see what feels comfortable for you. If you have a stronger backhand, use it lots.
Interesting. Yeah, I always found it a little bit more difficult with the backhand if you had to move to the ball to get into the right position. And I think that's probably what you're saying with the forehand. You got a little bit more wiggle room because of the arm. But yeah, interesting. Interesting. All right, let's move on to a question from Yap. And Yap asks, my opponent always leave their hand up till the last minute when the ball comes down. This is when they're serving. And they move away their hand, so I only have a little time to watch the contact of the ball. He did not break the rules as he moved his hand away at the last minute. What are your thoughts on this, Alois?
Yeah, so firstly, Yap, he is breaking the rules. So the rule says that you've got to get your arm away as straight after you throw the ball up. So as soon as you throw the ball up, you've got to make that attempt to drag the arm out of the way. Now, as we know, the top players do push the boundaries and they do let that arm linger around there a little bit long. But that's what the rule is, that, as soon as you throw the ball up, you've got to get it out of the way. The intent is that your opponent needs to be able to see the contact. If they're not seeing the contact clearly, then the serve is definitely illegal. So that's where you need to start your base to think about the service rule. So when you throw the ball up, get your arm out of the way so that your opponent can see that serve. So in the question, Yap also gives a link to one of Zhu Xin's serves. And you see there that he does let that arm linger around a little bit long, but he does get it out of the way before he makes the contact. So, yeah, as long as they can see the contact, I think it's all right. But the rule definitely clearly states that you've got to get that arm out of the way as soon as you can.
Yeah, and as we always say, Alois, this is tricky, especially if you're just playing a match and you're umpiring yourself. You're going to cause a lot of tension if you start calling faults, maybe some arguments. It's a hard one to deal with, isn't it?
It is. That service rule, where do we go with it?
Yes.
Keep thinking, PingSkillers.
Yes. Anyway, just have a chat to your opponent, familiarize them with the rules, see how it goes. Anyway, yep.
So Jeff, often players don't know where to find the rules. So there are rule books around, but if you go to the ITTF.com site, go to their main page. There's a main page link. Go down to regulations, and there you've got the full rules and exactly how the ITTF lay the rules out. So that's a good document to print out and to have with you as well. We have a truncated version of the rules or a simplified version of the rules as well on our site. So we'll put links to both of those. But yeah, handy to have with you, or at least know where to find them, because if you are unsure or if there's a bit of controversy, then you can refer back and say, okay, yep, you're right, I'm right. Have a look, here it is.
Absolutely. All right, good point. We will put the links on, as Alois said, so you can find them on our blog at pingskills.com. All right. Now, let's move on to a question from Fabio, who says, I struggle keeping the right crouched stance. I start being a bit jumpy, coming up somehow and stopping to have the more efficient and correct compact stance. Are there any specific physical conditioning that I can do to help in this area?
So I think for me, leg strength is the key here. So things like squats and lunges, those sort of exercises increase your leg strength, and then that will translate into your ability to hold that position better. So we always say with these sort of things, go to a gym, get some professional advice on things that you can do personally to increase that leg strength. Everyone's not the same. So if one person goes and tries to do leg, squats with 200 pounds, they're probably going to collapse in a heap and do themselves a lot of injury. So it's really important to get some proper advice, go and see someone that can work you through developing that leg strength properly. The other thing that I've seen work really well is also just some triggers. I talk about Dr. Ross Pinder, who works with our para table tennis squad here in Australia, and some ideas that he's given us. So one is to get that feedback of when you are coming up. So often you don't know that you're coming up. So what he does is, and I've mentioned this one before, so he puts something, it's a pool noodle, so a long foam thing, just puts it above their heads. So when you're playing, as soon as you come up, you feel your head tapping against the pool noodle. The other one is that there is a tennis contraption that tennis players use. So what it is, there's a belt around you, and then there's some elasticized straps between the belt and your ankles. So you tighten that to whatever tension, just so it keeps you in that bent position. As soon as you come up a little bit, the elastic stretches, and you start to feel the resistance there, which keeps you lower as well. So we'll put a link to one of those tennis straps that you can find. Pretty easy to make, I think, or just something that you can make that will help you just to have that memory or that feedback of when you are coming up.
Wow, that sounds interesting, Alois. We should get one of those and film a video just demonstrating it and providing some feedback on how effective it is. Interesting.
Okay. Yep. Well, and you're using it, Jeff. You're the one doing the footwork.
Awesome. All right. Once my hammy gets better, I'll give it a go.
Good.
Awesome. All right. Now, Alois, I don't think Victor, aka Brocky, has taken your advice about just accepting his height to heart here, because he wants to know if does bar hanging make me taller? Victor, wrong people to ask. All you're going to get from us is accept your height. Don't worry about anything else.
Bar hanging, so wouldn't that just make your arms longer? So you just look more like a gorilla. So yeah, if you
apparently longer arms are really important for basketball. If your arm span is longer than your height, you've got a good chance at being excellent at basketball.
What if you're 4'6"? Still,
it surprises people, and you can block them, and not many. Yeah, it's just a fact, just statistically a fact.
Well, there you go. Interesting. Who would have thought of that, huh?
Exactly. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up the show, Alois. Show 220 done and dusted. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for your questions. We love answering them. And of course, Alois, thank you for your wise words of wisdom.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you as well. And we will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. And PingSkillers, get your questions in to the Ask the Coach page, and we might even utilize them on the show, or you can go straight to the Google Plus page and ask your question there. So looking forward to some good questions for tomorrow.
Bye.